According to James Gunn, Tim Burton's Batman played by the great Michael Keaton is absolutely ridiculous, awful and boring. As you can see, in this screenshot shared by this Twitter user, James Gunn talks about Batman 1989 and Batman Returns in reply to a fan. He also further goes on to criticize Christopher Nolan's Batman and his movie Batman Begins. I am going to summarize what exactly he said and try and analyze what it means for his version of Batman within the new DC universe going forward. Before I do that, I just want to share with you a small piece of information. It has been observed that only 4% of my viewers on my last few videos have actually subscribed to my channel. I want all of you, my friends, to understand that each and every one of your likes and subscriptions are the only thing that motivates me to make awesome contents like these on your favorite comic book movies and shows. So, I request you to spend just 1 second of your time to subscribe to my channel and be a part of my cosmic realm. And yes, also please leave a like on this video. Okay, now let us get back to the main topic. The first thing James Gunn says is Michael Keaton's Batman had a ridiculous voice. Personally, this is something I totally do not agree. I think Michael Keaton had the best voice among all the different iterations of the character. He had a whispery kind of a voice which I felt sounded very intimidating and mysterious. At the same time, it also never sounded forced and ridiculous like some of the modern iterations of Batman, especially Christian Bale's iteration. I personally think Michael Keaton, along with Kevin Conroy's version of the character from the animated series, had the best voice among all the iterations. The second thing he criticizes is the action sequences in the Tim Burton movies. I kind of agree with this one, but I do not think this is a problem at all. Those movies achieved what they tried to achieve. Tim Burton mainly focused on trying to bring out the dark nature of Batman's character. His main focus was on building the whole gothic atmosphere of Gotham and introduce us to the dark version of Batman. This was very hard to achieve at the time because the previous iteration of Batman played by Adam West was a very campy, lighthearted and colorful take. And people at the time loved Adam West's portrayal of the character. So, to bring out a completely different take on the character and present in front of an established fanbase was a big challenge at the time. Tim Burton never wanted to make a John Wick kind of an action movie in the first place. And I think the mediocre action sequences could be attributed to the Batman costume used in those couple of movies. The worst part of this whole thing is James Gunn even has a problem with the soundtrack of this movie. In fact, he calls the soundtrack of Batman 1989 the worst part of the movie. This is the statement that almost feels kind of disrespectful to me because that soundtrack defined the character of Batman for a lot of people. So, I totally do not understand what James Gunn is talking about. Now, coming to his next criticism, he feels that both Batman Begins and The Dark Knight were not great movies. In fact, he says Batman Begins is not even a good movie. I mean, this is totally beyond my understanding because to this day those two movies are still considered as the gold standard of comic book movies. James Gunn is in the absolute minority in this case because a large part of Batman's popularity in pop culture could be attributed to those two movies. Batman would not be so popular today if it were not for Tim Burton and Christopher Nolan's movies. And personally, while I think both The Dark Knight and Batman Begins were excellent movies, I think Batman Begins was a slightly better movie. I thought it was way more comic book accurate, especially the later half of the movie during that whole final act with Scarecrow and Batman. I also feel Batman Begins was actually a Batman movie in the true sense because in that movie, Batman was the center of attention unlike the sequels which were primarily focused on the villains. I also thought the costume used for Batman Begins was one of the best Batman costumes of all time, along with Robert Pattinson's costume from Matt Reeves' The Batman and Ben Affleck's costume from Zack Snyder's Justice League. James Gunn further goes on to criticize Jack Nicholson's Joker, as you can see here, referring to him as Jack Torrance with clown makeup. I think just like his other statements, I do not agree with this statement as well because Jack Nicholson is my favorite Joker besides Mark Hamill. I loved Heath Ledger's version very much as well as Joaquin Phoenix's take on the character. But Jack Nicholson was the most comic accurate version of the clown prince of crime, starting from his looks to his body language. He looked like the Joker ripped out right from the pages of a Batman comic book. Now, what is really concerning is that James Gunn had nothing to say about George Clooney's Batman, which is arguably the worst and most ridiculous take on the character. It is even more concerning for DC fans because after James Gunn took over as the CEO of DC Studios, he cut out Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne cameo from the ending of the Flash movie and replaced it with George Clooney's Bruce Wayne. And I do not have a problem with anyone liking Clooney's Batman. But it could be a cause of concern if James Gunn is a fan of that version because he is not just any fan. He is the CEO of the new DC universe and he has full control over it. From the very beginning, the biggest fear I had when James Gunn took over as the CEO of DC Studios was that he was going to make Batman similar to George Clooney's version. And now it seems, my fear has just gotten one step closer to reality. And that is why I have always said, and I am going to say it again, that I am so glad that we have Robert Pattinson's Batman universe to look up to. I am not a hater of James Gunn, but I do not think his style of filmmaking would work for DC movies. I hope I am wrong, and I will be really glad if I actually am wrong. So, that is all I have to say in this video. What do you think about James Gunn's comments about Michael Keaton's Batman? Please let me know in the comments down below. And please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.